Hey, Chris, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Sure. Nice to meet you.
Congrats on this movie. So super fun from start to finish. I have to ask you about the line, which is beautiful people get away with too much. I say that having benefited from it myself from time to time. Is that the most truth you've ever spoken on screen?
Yeah, I don't know. How do I answer that without
I know.
looking like an idiot?
Was
Sure,
that
and yes, no, maybe I'm not.
on was it on paper or ad-libbed? Maybe you can just give me that.
It was on paper.
Okay.
It did not come from within.
It was well delivered regardless.
Thank
The
you.
soundtrack of this movie too filled me, and I'm sure other people of a certain age, with joy. When
Yeah.
Steve starts dancing to Slave to Love, I have two questions about this. One, was the song actually playing or were you miming it?
The song was playing.
Okay.
Yep. The song was my choice, and the dance I don't believe was in the script. It was another opportunity to make a fool of myself.
That kind of perhaps answers my other question, which is what song in real life do you just have to move to when you hear it?
I've been listening to the new Harry Styles album lately, and it just makes me want to get outside and boogie. It's a fun one. And it
It's
struck
so
a chord.
good.
The
Yep.
kid's good. The kid's good.
I know I have to keep apologizing to my 13-year-old daughter. I'm like, I'm sorry we like the same thing, but it is what it is.
Hey,
I
just
can't not
bringing
like it.
families together. Well
There
done,
you
him.
go. So many actors have told me over the years that it's important to them that they love their character that they're playing. How do you feel about Steve?
I love some of the things he does. We buried a little bit of his backstory in there somewhere, which I think gives a little empathy and understanding to why he is the way he is.
Hmm.
Our sort of personalities and the foundation of who we are is most heavily influenced when we're children, very young children. And so if there's something that is slightly traumatic or there's a lack of love and affection and so on, it can lead to all sorts of issues. Not always, but I believe in this individual's case, a lot of his upbringing has been the catalyst for why he is who he is. Do I love him? At times, I loved playing him. I loved the sort of unpredictable nature to him. I love that there weren't any rules with how or what he should and shouldn't say. He's a guy who was incredibly driven and passionate, huge ego. There's a charisma to him, very powerful, but a real lack of social etiquette and a misunderstanding of social cues. There's no filter to him. There's a twisted, dark sense of humor. So it was fun. I loved playing the character.
I guess there is the one thing that he did say that could be a refrain for you in real life. What if a fan comes up to you one day and says, "Drip on"? Will you say acknowledge?
Am I prepped on what particular drug that I'm going to be forced to take or
No,
what?
you're Jeff. You just got to go with it.
Oh God, I guess so. I guess so.
Hey, how are
Hi,
you?
Kim. How you doing? I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Welcome. Welcome back to my home. I'm going to cosplay Jeff. Okay, here
Oh,
we
geez.
go.
Yep. He's a Mariners guy.
Okay, we got to tell. I know it is not even remotely the point of this film, but
Yeah.
I'm in Seattle. We have to talk about this. What is his backstory? Is he supposed to be from here? He also wears an Edison baseball shirt. There's an Edison, Washington.
Yeah. No, I mean that's definitely where the character is from. We wanted to he just felt like somebody to me from the Pacific Northwest, either, kind of worked on boats or worked on, cars. We felt like he was, I mean, obviously I gave him a mullet, but yeah, he's a I don't know if that might be a Florida thing where I grew up.
Miles Teller, what are you saying of us Pacific Northwesterners?
No, I wanted to, I mean, and I'm such a baseball fan. So I said, if he's from up there, he's got to be a Mariners fan for sure.
Love it. And it's another sad season for him, but that's okay. There's always next year.
There's always next year.
um, in an interview, your director said that you and Jurnee were sort of perfectly cast as a couple because you can both play damaged. Is that a compliment?
I guess for this story it is, because they are two damaged individuals. So yeah, we'll say it's a compliment, I guess.
I think it is. It shows you have a lot of depth.
There you go. Depth. That's what he should have said. They both have a lot of depth.
One of the drugs administered to Jeff makes him very much lose his inhibitions. But I'm curious, when I'm watching you play those scenes, what do you do to get yourself to the point where you can play someone who has lost all of their inhibitions?
Man, yeah, some of the scenes in this were pretty tough, because I don't know, man, you just got to commit. I think that's really what it comes down to. You can't kind of you can't 50% it. You really just, I don't know, you just got to feel free of looking silly, and you just got to do it. But I mean, some of that stuff is uncomfortable, because you got to, there's a bunch of people standing around too, so that's that's a little tricky.
Right. There's a great scene with Steve and Jeff hanging out, broing it up.
Yeah.
Were you guys able to spend time together? I mean, this was the height of COVID. There was so much going on in the world, but did this help you sort of connect with other people and spend some quality time with them?
I mean, for Chris and I, just because what you said with COVID and everything, and really just I think there was a lot of work that we had to do pretty early on, and it wasn't really until afterwards that Chris and I got to hang out, and I felt like we got to get it all out at the end. That, all that time we wanted to be able to hang out.
There are already so many people online guessing about what happens in this film based on the trailers alone. Do you pay any attention to that stuff? Do you get any enjoyment out of it? If you do you think it's silly how vocal people are trying to spoil things for themselves potentially before they see them?
No, I don't. I mean, I think you're aware when something comes out and nobody's talking about it. So that's really like the worst case scenario. So I'm just, hopefully you make things that people just want to talk about or share some ideas, try and spoil it, whatever it is. I think anytime they're talking about it is good.
How many times do you think people should watch this film? Because I noticed at least one little Easter egg where someone is reading the source material. Are there other little things like that sprinkled throughout?
Oh, sure. I think people that are, it's sci-fi and it's George Saunders. So there's definitely a couple Easter eggs in there.
All right. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I know it's another long day of press, but I appreciate it.
Oh, it's all good. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Seattle. So nice to meet you. I loved this movie, but also Lovecraft Country. Like my husband and I sat on this couch every week and we're like, oh, yay. So anyway, congratulations on all your amazing work. Thank you for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that.
What resonated most with you about her character? Like, what do you want people to know? I have this in common with her. And what would you like people to know? I don't have this in common with her.
I think naturally as an actor, I'm drawn to characters that I do have, some sort of commonality with. But I think what challenged me so much about Lizzie was a number of things. She's very much so a bit of a contradiction in that she masks this really dark secret that she carries with this this layer of joy and light, and she's desperately trying to find a level of redemption and reconciliation, and self-forgiveness, right? But she's very alone in that until she meets Jeff. And it's interesting because it is their bond that really leads both of them to this level of redemption and liberty. And that was one of the things I thought was so beautiful, because essentially it's about how they find like this real unconditional love. It's not the obvious thing, but when I read the script, I was like, this is not unconditional love. This is about forgiveness. It's layered underneath this like wacky, heightened, entertaining, and really thought-provoking, genre-bending narrative. But deep down, they're like these two star-crossed lovers who will not achieve freedom unless they achieve forgiveness.
Right. Well, and the notion that that can only be achieved authentically, right? No drug that you inject in your body is going to change what we truly feel as humans.
And I love that so much because I so subscribe to that. You know, I so subscribe to this belief that the authentic, the real, painful, ugly, uncomfortable thing that is love is always going to be more powerful than whatever synthetic alternative thing that we try to put in its place.
Right.
You know, one of the things Joseph Kosinski and I talked a lot about was that Lizzie needs to feel like analog. You know, like she's got the old school cassette
Walkman.
player,
Yeah.
Walkman. You know, her clothes are tie dyes. It's definitely from like a different era. You know, and that contrast to Amnesty, who's clean and digital and tech savvy. You know, there's, and then you got Jeff in the middle, who's got to go, which one? You know, which one do I lean into?
Right. Well, it all makes for a fascinating and super entertaining movie with a pretty rad soundtrack too. So thanks again.
Really,
Such a pleasure to get to chat with you.
same here. Thank you.